Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk, straight from their jocks about the jocks. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
Welcome back, Know-It-Alls, for another edition of Football on the Know Show. We are getting closer and closer every week to regular season football. Yeah!
Oh, it's weeks away, Joe.
Woo.
Really excited. We just want to let you guys know we are brought to you by John Stone Heating and Supply, Mohawk Honda, and Buck Environmental Solutions, empowered and fueled by Raise.
Raise
Joe.
Energy.
Raise them up is a promo code. Hit them up. Get some 15% off. All right, yeah, so exactly, dude. We are really excited about this. We've been talking all summer about different things, our views on the questions and training camps and stuff. Now teams are geared up for the
Getting
final
closer.
preseason game here.
Yeah,
It's
we're
coming
just
up. You were
about-
hearing about cuts now are getting done,
Yep.
and they're also naming starters now. You talk about the quarterback situations with some of these teams and the debates on who's the starter, who's the guy. There's a competition. It's fueled. Now these coaches are starting to come out now and setting these true names for week one so far.
Yeah, about all the teams now are down to about 80 players on the roster. We just had that second wave of cuts, if you will, even though it's only like 5 players that they got to cut down to. But now we're about to eclipse that final cut day, that day where a lot of guys are going to be on edge. They might be on the bubble of the roster, not quite sure if they're going to make it or not. And when it comes down to it, going all the way from 80 players cut right down to 53, and a lot of guys are going to be out there in free agency. There might be teams waiting to see what other teams cut because they are lacking in a certain position that maybe they could scrape up.
Absolutely, waiting for that crucial time to pick up somebody you might need, because even we're seeing some of these guys dropping now. Injuries happening.
Injuries, man.
All over camp. So
And we got an extra week of the regular season, so you're seeing injuries now. Now you add that extra game. I'm sorry, but like we came a long way. We had 17 17 weeks to play, and that was a lot for anybody to stay healthy enough. We've seen multiple teams early on in the regular season, they lose like multiple starters, and then they kind of like limping all the way through. Now you add that extra game. I know it's one game to a lot of people out there that watch football, but that extra game, the season's already grueling. Now you're adding another week that you got to get through. And then for a lot of the teams that make the playoffs, it's unbelievable.
absolutely, people taking hits nonstop through the preseason, but that's why they shortened it a little bit too. But we will see moving forward. But the talk now that we're going to be bringing up here tonight is the rookie quarterbacks, because again, that's the headlines everybody's hitting up now, because I think it's quick and easy for some of these media want to throw it out there, looking how somebody got chosen, and that's their overall value, and is it worth it to them? How many times have we heard with Mitchell Trubisky and the Bears? They selected him when there was still Patrick Mahomes out there, and this is knowing what you know now, of course. So I mean, you're gonna throw that in everybody's face, but. There's your rookies out there. We're seeing them out there perform. Again, Trevor Lawrence picked first overall, but it seems like not exactly that he's struggling. And this is the narration that's being portrayed out there with him. It's like, oh, he doesn't look so good out there. He's struggling a little bit. It's not comfortable in the pocket. Well, that's the idea, that's going to happen with some of these teams, and it's early in the preseason. So they want to see this guy get ruffled up. They want to test him out and things like that, because he's just coming into the NFL, and they want to see how he reacts to it too, because that's the one thing that will change the way a game happens. If you pressure the quarterback, that's how you get him out of his game, and then you can execute your game plan the way you want. I mean, everybody knows that. Look at Tom Brady. Like, how do you stop Tom Brady? Well, you get some, rush in there and get him off his thing, get him out of the pocket. Well, everybody knows that. It's about executing, though, and being able to do that. And right now, that offensive line that they took advantage of and decided to fix a little bit is kind of letting some of this is pass rush in, and he's taking some hits, I think, that he shouldn't be in the preseason right now.
And that's the thing, too, is like a lot of people got to remember as well, because it's preseason, none of these teams, even for the Jaguars and their offense, they're not shelling out everything that they're going to be doing this regular season. It's very basic offense, and their opponents have a very basic defense, and it's just like kind of like mano a mano. You know what I mean? Every position is mano a mano. It's can your athlete beat the athlete in front of them, and nobody's really scheming for each other just yet. Until we get to the regular season where you're going to start to see like the Jaguars offense kind of really kick in, there's going to be some things where they're just going to get the ball out of Trevor Lawrence's hands. He's not going to be asked to do everything. You know, he's one guy, one player. Obviously, yeah, he's the quarterback of your team. However, they're going to design plays to get the ball out of his hands, not so he has to hold it too long. They're going to hand the ball off. They're going to dump the ball off. So they're going to change some things up, and that's going to show you, not only wrinkles in their offense that they're going to have in the regular season, but also it's not going to be as heavily concentrated on Trevor Lawrence as it is in the preseason. So until teams start, schematically and game planning for each other, you're not going to really get a whole, a good idea of what Trevor Lawrence is capable until we get to the regular season and see some regular season games.
Absolutely. And right now we've got breaking news.
Whoa,
via
now.
Mike Tacker on the point reporter here.
One of our old school know-it-alls.
There's a trade alert. Yeah, absolutely. A trade alert. The Panthers are trading linebacker Denzel Perryman to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Right.
Per sources, it's a 6-7 swap of picks. Panthers get their 6th round pick.
Okay.
Raiders get 7th and Perryman per source.
There you go.
According to Adam Schefter. So there you go. Breaking news as well on Football on the Know here via
courtesy
Mike Tackett.
of Mike Tackett, our reporter
Who's
that's on
always
the
has his thumb on the pulse, buddy. That guy is all about it.
Definitely.
All right. So, but yeah, again, that's the thing. Trevor Lawrence pick overall, not looking so hot right now. But for me, as I watch these games, I know people even say, like, when I'm watching them, who are you rooting for? Because you're yelling at both sides of the field. I'm looking at what the good sides of some teams are and the bad sides also at the same time. So, yes, he's getting pressured. I'm like, man, they got to really contain it and get him off of him, because even though he's coming out of the pocket and getting some hits and getting sacked, his throws are right on target and point and where they needed to be too as well. So I'm not worried about him and his execution and the tangibles that he has. So I think he'll be fine. Now it's just as long as that offensive line can gel together and down the line during the season help protect him.
For sure.
All right, so Mike Tackett right here, he says, what's the over-under the Jags win 5 games in 2021, Joe?
Listen, that's going to be one of the ultimate challenges for this team, and it's really going to be all hindered on, unfortunately, Trevor Lawrence and how he performs as a professional quarterback in this league. So, I mean, we all know that he's very highly skilled. He's talented. He's got all the attributes that you're looking for in a quarterback, and I think that what they did is they surrounded him with enough talent, with good enough talent, to where he can succeed. And defensively, they're kind of an underrated defense. So, offense and defense go hand in hand. And at the end of the day, I think they could get over 5 wins easily. I'm going to take the over on that. And I might go as far as to say is that they'll at least get 7 wins. Because of having a rookie quarterback come in, you got to expect some ups and downs. He is going to make mistakes. That sometimes the defenses might fool them in their coverage if they roll it over and kind of trick them that way with stunts and blitzes and what have you. But in the end, I think he will win more games than 5, and they'll be on the right path come this season.
I'm going to be right at 5 on this one. So I'm not going to be over or under. I think I'm going to be around even where you're setting the line here, just because, again, I'm not really confident in Urban Meyer here in the NFL yet. I'd like to even feel it out, see how it goes with his tenure here in the NFL. But it's new. It's fresh. Right now I see still last year they had issues and stuff. They need to work them out throughout the season. Can I see them over 5? Yeah, they could. I can see they have the potential to do that. But I can also see them working through some growing pains still and just having a rough season this year and then potentially next season taking that next step. So that's what I see with that. But we shall see, though. We don't know, so that's why they play the games. So let's take a look at now the number 2 overall pick that the Jets went with, seeing they knew that Trevor Lawrence was going to be off the books here. And Zach Wilson, again, the Jets fans are high as hell right now on Zach. Yeah, so they're all about it. These guys are all like, this is the guy next coming. Now we finally have our guy. Jets fans, they're winning the division. It's like they're all high and everything. Again, I'm ready to bring him down to earth, okay? He's been playing well. He's been doing some moves. And the thing is, too, the contradictions, and this is why you don't always listen to what's going on at training camp from some particular type of media sources, because all throughout training camp you heard, oh, man, he doesn't look good. Oh, this and this.
Struggling.
And blah, blah, blah. But if you talk to the right people, too, and you actually talk to Zach himself, he says that, listen, I'm trying things in training camp and in practice to see what I can get away with, see if it works and stuff like that. That's why you do it. And that's what you do in practice. See if it happens here. If it works, maybe I'll be able to use it in a game. If I make a mistake, I have a turnover, at least I'm doing it during practice. I'm not doing this in a game. And you see, when it comes to game time, he's able to perform at a decent level. But again, I would stifle everybody's expectations right now. It's going to be some growing pains here with the Jets and their new quarterback.
Yeah, and you talk about practice. I'm talking about preseason games. What we've seen, what he's done in preseason games. Yes, he looks good, but again, it's where I go where it is just preseason. Nobody is scheming for each other or anything like that. When it comes regular season, it's going to be a whole other level that he's going to have to jump over. So right now, it looks easy at times for Zach Wilson, but it's kind of like very basic. So let's pump the brakes a little bit here. Let's see what he can do in week 1 and week 2, and then kind of come back and we can have a better, a clearer vision of what he could be projected to do. So as of right now, I will say this. Is he flashy at times? Yes. Listen, he's the most athletic quarterback I think the Jets have ever had. I mean, he's very gifted. He's very mobile. He does a lot of things that Jet fans are going to love as far as creating time in the pocket, outside the pocket, and being able to create more time for a play to develop or to find a receiver. So, yes, he's got some that flashiness that you really love to see in a young quarterback, but also let's wait and see what he can do in the regular season, where teams every single week are game planning around a rookie quarterback like himself, and the Jets team as well.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what you know, again, from the team before. The offensive line struggling, Mekhi Becton, you've got him, but, he's trying to stay healthy here for them. And that's the one thing. They tried to load up on offensive line to protect him, to get him time. But now with the injury to Carl Lawson, he's done, and now some more injuries popping up on the defense. That's going to be a major thing for them, too, is to get better at, because they weren't that great under Greg Williams and that regime that they had just prior had, too, for them. And that's the hopes, what they're hoping with Robert Saleh, is get that defense going and actually have them stay on the field a little bit and then make some
get the ball back.
Exactly. So then the offense can run smoother, and they're not just back and forth, and everybody's getting gassed.
And that's
the
thing,
now
too, is
you're
Carl Lawson, now that he's gone, they lose a premier pass rusher. And that's something that they really needed to help this defense get after the quarterback. Don't give the quarterbacks as much time to look to be able to throw their receivers in halftime. So now that they're missing him, that is a big loss for them this upcoming season. However, the other thing that I'll mention is that defensively, I didn't see a whole lot being done for their cornerbacks. And I still question their cornerback depth and their cornerback starters at the moment. So that, to me, is going to be their Achilles heel, just like it was last year. Last season, they didn't have any answer at corner. They were getting beat up and down the field in the passing game. I feel like that's going to return. They might be better pass rushing. They might be better at stopping the run, because now you get a return of C.J. Mosley. Finally, it seems like. Now he's going to be able to put on the green for real in the regular season and show what he can do. But other than that, I still feel like they're going to struggle with the pass defense. And let's just see. Maybe Robert Saleh's defensive scheme and his philosophies, maybe they play a little bit better regardless of who they have on the field. Maybe it's going to work out better for them. So remains to be seen, but all in all, it's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, and Zach Wilson, touching back on him again, the fact that he has Corey Davis right there, and that's what you're seeing too, is utilizing the weapons that he has. That's something that Sam Darnold didn't have before too. So this is why I think it's kind of flashy for the Jets and really nice. And when they're seeing this, like, oh, look at this, and they're kind of imagining what can happen. Again, For me, I'm just saying, this looks good. This is what you want. Hopefully, when the season gets started, this leads to something and some more wins that you had last year. But again, it is a tough road. It is a tough division, and this schedule is really rough for them too. So they're going to face a lot of tough opponents. So it's going to be tough for them moving forward.
But isn't that the funny part too? Is it seems like Joe Douglas feels a little bit of heat right now in his chair, because last season, what did they really have? They had an offensive line that was below average. The only guy that they had that you could say was a staple on that offensive line is Mekhi Becton. And then other than that, as far as receivers goes, weapons go, they really didn't have an answer at running back. They had Jamison Crowder as their one real receiver that was productive. Mm-hmm. So now Darnold is shipped out of there, and it seems like, all of a sudden we improved the offensive line. We got more weapons at receiver. We drafted a running back. It seems like they've done a lot more now than ever to improve this team, and it had to be done. So finally, maybe Joe Douglas assembled a team that is capable of at least being competitive right now, and they're still in their young stages. But again, it's going to be exciting to watch. If you're a Jets fan, you got to have some optimism because finally you're starting to see some effort being put into this roster.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's take a look now. Again, one of the hot names out there that everybody's up in arms about and excited in the quarterback competition that they want to bring up is Jimmy G and Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance here. Trey Lance looking really good in the preseason games as well. On the big TV here, Garoppolo not looking so hot here and there. So everybody's all up in arms about the Trey Lance. Does he got to start him now? What are you going to do? Because we heard that maybe he was a project. Now it doesn't look like he might be. Joe, what do you got to say about the Trey Lance hype?
I mean, Trey Lance, I wouldn't buy the hype just yet. I mean, listen, this is a quarterback coming out of college now who ran a predominantly run-style offense. Very rarely did they throw the football. So now you're coming to a higher level like the NFL, and you're going to be expected to throw a hell of a lot more than you're used to. Not to mention you're going to have to read coverages, read defenses. He definitely had to work on his footwork, had to work on his mechanics. So there's a lot that's going into Trey Lance. Listen, I like Trey Lance when he was coming out of college. I like his athletic ability. I like his size. I like his arm. There's a lot to like in him. However, I still think there's a lot more that he has to develop further to become a true franchise quarterback for this team, which is they have time. They have Jimmy G as an insurance policy still. So they haven't traded him. We know that there was rumors about that possibly happening. Mm-hmm. And now you look at Jimmy G and Trey Lance, and you're like, okay, listen. And this is what I think Kyle Shanahan's mindset is at. Is he's been asked in press conferences like, hey, did you name a starting quarterback? And he's like, nope, not going to name a starting quarterback. And then they'll ask, oh, well, Trey Lance, he's playing really well, right? So what do you think when he first got there to now, has he improved a lot? And he gave a very, grayish type of answer, very kind of almost like a one of those answers where, you give somebody because there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. There's no evidence, nothing to tip his cap on or anything. He just basically said, well, we're still in the same spot when he first got there. So if that is true, now he could be lying to the media, but if that is true, if you take that comment as being true, then it's exactly what everybody else thought. He needs more developmental time. He needs to be able to fully develop his game in order to be the true starter. If that's the case, Jimmy G is a veteran. He's been there. Listen, it's not like they haven't won with Jimmy G. They have won. They've made it to the Super Bowl, for God's sakes. Mm-hmm. So if it's not broke, don't fix it type of thing. But we all know the last 2 years, Jimmy G has not stayed healthy. So there's always that part of the equation as well. If Jimmy G lasts 4 weeks this season, we'll say, you're going to have to play Trey Lance anyway. You know what I mean? So I think the smarter avenue is with a star-studded defense that they've had before. Even though they got that little bit of a difference now that Robert Saleh's not heading the defense, that's going to be a little bit different. And they got D'Amico Ryans, a former linebacker, taking over that. Mm-hmm. And then their offense, they still got a great offensive line. They're going to be able to protect whoever's back there. They got running backs. They got a couple of young receivers that are going to do well. And they're a predominantly run team. So maybe it fits Trey Lance to a T right now. And that's why fans are getting really hopeful that he's going to become the starter. But I think that Kyle Shanahan is not obviously disclosing everything that he knows. And in the end, I think it would be smart to just stick with the veteran and see how far he can take it. Listen, right. and that's the other good thing is if he struggles mightily in the beginning of the season, you have that option. Be like, hey, you know what? Screw it. We're just going to throw the rookie in now. He'll be the starter from here on out. And damn the consequences. You know what I mean? Like whether we are a losing team or whether we can win with him and get into the playoffs, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what position they chose Trey Lance. I mean, that was the hype train, too, before the draft
Yeah, it
happened.
was crazy.
Like, you heard that they were going,
Yep.
they were trading up or whatever, and then the news was flashing, it was going for Trey Lance, but then it was Mac Jones.
Everybody thought it was
everything.
Mac Jones.
Yeah, so, and it ends up being him. So it wouldn't be a surprise that that's where they end up turning it over to if he does struggle, or, what we've talked about before, does he get injured again? What is going to happen? If he potentially gets injured, then it's an easy fix, because then you could put him in there, blame it on the injury, and if he looks pretty good, never turn back. And you're like, oh, I don't know. We've seen it happen with Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady before, and they never turned the page again. So that's a good way to turn it for them, too, that everybody's safe in that sense. But they're going to play it the smart way. Again, Jimmy G's been there. He got paid the money to be the starter there. We've all kind of seen what he is, though, I think, at this point. And I think that's why everybody is kind of questioning this whole thing and say, well, all right, is this going to be the next guy that can get him over the hump? Because we saw in that Super Bowl when they were against the Chiefs, they had a lead. The defense ended up putting him into this game, and they had it. They had the Chiefs, and they allowed them to still come back just because the offense couldn't get going enough that the defense eventually broke down. They were getting worn out and then gassed, and then by that time, the high-powered offense that the Chiefs got back together and get in motion and rhythm, and then by that time, it was just too much for the defense to withstand. And this is what they're looking for. They're looking for a little more balance, a little more athleticism here for them. And they want to he's still going to stick to the run. We see the running backs that he has there back in this backfield. He's still going to utilize that running game. He's got great weapons, too, in this offense. So Kyle Shanahan knows what he's doing. And at this point, we potentially could see Trey Lance during this season, but I don't think they're pulling the trigger on week 1.
And I think you're definitely going to see Trey Lance be the starter if they fall short. So, like, whether it be whether it be Jimmy G getting injured early and then you have to play him, or if Jimmy G is taking the team and they get to that midpoint or a bye week and they're like, well, we got to reassess now. What's happening? Well, we're like kind of 500. We're not really where we want to be right now. Do we make this move right now? Do we just put in Trey Lance and ride it out and see what happens? So there's a lot of variables with this, especially this situation, because they have that veteran quarterback. That's where it's kind of like banter back and forth and say, well, should we, shouldn't we, if this happens, if that happens. So it's going to be fun to watch Kyle Shanahan and his staff to see what they end up deciding come week 1.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so we'll see that. We're keeping close to that again. All we're doing with these guys when we're doing our QB rookie report is that there's a lot of hype. There's a lot of saying, oh, this guy is probably not so good. It's still preseason. It's still been practice and camps. We will see moving forward, but let's take a look at both sides of the ball and analyze what we're looking at. Next up, let's talk about some Justin Fields here. The Bears go and move up and get him. Joe's been high on him nonstop. The thing I was just worried about, again, was that Ohio State quarterbacks, again, traditionally don't excel in the NFL. They haven't since, I can't even remember. I want to say it's one of those 70s quarterbacks.
You could say Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
He was on.
I guess
on Ohio State's
so
roster
too. Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you want to look at it potentially of where they might have been, but
all kidding aside.
But I hear you what you mean, because again, we've seen it a bunch of things. We've seen what Achilles Smith was supposed to be, this and that, and things that we've heard. Right. We've seen him come and go. So I've always kind of been on the well, I'm going to stand back and feel it out and wait. If I'm a little late to the party, I really don't care. I'm not going to be the one jumping on top and jump ahead of it, and trying to throw something out there that ain't there. But right now, again, the Bears have needed something like this. And this is why they went and were able to, luckily, they're able to trade up, and get that and get the guy that they
needed
wanted. And they needed something like this.
Who else was waiting for him to fall? The Patriots were waiting for Justin Fields. And if that happened, that would have been amazing for New England. I'm not saying that they didn't get their guy anyway, but we all know that there was a lot of reports coming out of New England saying they were kind of really eyeing Justin Fields. They worked him out. They did a lot of things. They liked what they saw from both Justin Fields and Mac Jones. But all in all, they would have been happy to get either one of them. So if Fields got there, that would have gave them another mobile presence like a Cam Newton, but a guy that's able to create time and get rid of the ball. So now the Bears got him, and it's going to be an interesting battle. We all know that, listen, this is the kind of the most screwed up part of this too for me is the little bit that I've seen of Justin Fields in preseason games, in team practices, and Andy Dalton versus Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is that kind of average quarterback. He can get the job done, but when stuff breaks down, sometimes he makes a bad decision and turns the ball over. Sometimes he runs into problems and gets sacked. And whereas as a Justin Fields, he gives you that mobility to escape pressure. He gives you that mobility to extend the amount of time that they could have to get rid of the football or possibly take off and run. He has that it factor. There's a reason why he got picked earlier, why the Bears even traded up to get him, is because they saw something that some other people that were scouting quarterbacks saw as well. Is a guy who is very smart, very mobile, and can make all the throws accurately, and on time. So I think honestly, listen, I've been one of his biggest fans coming out of college. I think for sure he's showing up Andy Dalton right now. But the problem is if you ask Matt Nagy, who's the head coach, he's like, well, nope, Andy Dalton is my quarterback. He's my starter. And that's what he said multiple times already. So you already have a feeling that Andy Dalton is going to be the starter. And it's sad because I think not only is Fields ready to take on that leadership role, to take on the role of being their franchise quarterback, but I think he could actually enhance this offense more than what it will be capable of with Dalton behind the O-line. So I think Nagy, if this is what he's going to do and going to stick with Dalton, I think it's the wrong decision. Listen, we all know that they brought Dalton in his insurance policy before the draft. But now that they got their guy and he's impressing a lot of people in the organization, don't be so stubborn to be like, well, nope, I brought in Dalton and that's our guy. So I hope that they change their minds, but it looks like it's trending towards Dalton being the starter.
Right. And you take a look at Fields too, and it's kind of everything that he had hoped that Trubisky was going to be. Again, being able to be a little mobile, because we saw spots where Mitch Trubisky was effective out of the pocket, making some plays with his legs, and the type of offense that Matt Nagy runs. It seemed right, but again, when it came to getting the job done in particular moments, wasn't as effective. And it seems like this is the guy that he's finally found to run his offense that he likes. But again, before there was a Justin Fields, you still had Nick Foles. And so there was that idea, I need to get somebody else in here, and that was going to be the original quarterback battle here between him and Andy Dalton. Now Foles is just drifted off into oblivion here.
They got to see what he was capable of.
Yeah, they already did.
And he didn't play up to par.
So now Dalton moves in there, and I think the problem is when he goes in there, Matt Nagy now, seeing they did draft the young guy, he's got to go and stroke the ego of the veteran there and say, listen, man, you're my guy. You're my starter here. This is what we're doing. More like playing the politics of everything.
I wanted to make sure.
Well, yes.
Unlike most politicians, that what I said was fucking stupid.
And that's what he was trying to do, play it like a politician and be like, all right, here you go. All right, Dalton's my guy, and that's why he's still shouting from his soapbox here.
Right.
Dalton's my guy. This is what's going to be or whatever. But again, when you're taking
a
a look at what is out there on the field, this seems like the best kind of thing to run your offense, what you've been doing, and potentially – this could be the thing that saves his job, because how many seasons right now have we talked about Matt Nagy being on the hot seat? And this really it's a pivotal moment for him and relies on the quarterback play. And for this particular coach and the GM here to work together and grab this quarterback and be able to hit on this, I think is big for them. And to be able to save his job, I think, is a major point.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing too, is that other part of the situation is Matt Nagy, your job was on, your seat was a little hot last season. There were some rumors circling around that you might lose your job before the offseason even kicked off, and he's still there. Now that they drafted a quarterback, sometimes when teams draft a quarterback, it gives the current coach an extra year or two to kind of turn things around. But with this Bears team, as long as Nagy has been with this team, They've always had a pretty darn good defense, despite last season due to injuries. But they got all those guys returning now. It seems like they've geared up and they're ready to go on defense. And now on offense, they have Allen Robinson for one more year. It's basically a rental. They had to tag him for another second straight part of the year. And he's there for this season, and that's it. So if you don't make a difference now with the weapons that they have, with David Montgomery in the backfield, the one concern that I guess I have for the offense and for Fields or Dalton or whoever is going to be the quarterback is that this offensive line got worse. They've lost key veterans off this offensive line, and I don't think that they've matched that talent level or replaced those guys with better talent to even talent. So they might have breakdown in passing plays because of that pass protection won't be there at times. So I kind of think that if Dalton's back there, they're going to lose more games than they could possibly win with a new talent in Fields. I feel like he gives them a different dynamic at quarterback, and he's going to make some plays happen that I don't think Dalton can.
Right, and we saw the issues that happened when the Dallas Cowboys didn't have an offensive line, and he started to take hits as well. And being new to that franchise and not really grabbing the players in their locker room, and I really think Justin Fields being able to relate to some of the younger guys in the group too, I think would be a better aspect for them. We have Tom Leiter in the house with us tonight.
What's up, Tom?
Tom is in the house.
Another original know-it-all.
No G, absolutely. He says the Dalton scale, if your quarterback is worse, you need a new one. If he's better, you can make do. And absolutely, and that's what it is here with Dalton. Since he left the Bengals, I mean, that's basically what you're looking at because, again, they moved on from, Carson Palmer, and they had Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle in there. Let's go forward. But he also had A.J. Green there and some other talent along with him to keep him going. But
Tyler Eifert in his prime?
To the big game and stuff, he could never really get you over the hump and he didn't make your team better. He wasn't able to make those drives to make it happen. He is famous for being the one that ended up putting the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs to where they all donated to his charity. And that's what you know about Andy Dalton. So, and again, if he was worth anything else to be even a nice, reliable backup for Dak Prescott, especially what they're going through right now, the Cowboys would have probably tried to lock him up. So, when the fact was, when the time, we just talked about it, when they had Nick Foles and they were like, we can move on from Mitch Trubisky. We didn't pick up his next option, so we need somebody else here to maybe throw even a fire under Nick Foles to see. It's like, come on, you really gonna solidify this or what? Andy Dalton, he's a better option right now. He's shown what he can even do, when he's thrown into that backup spot and been able to be out there. Could this be enough to get us over the hump? But now that they went and drafted Justin Fields, looks like the clear option. And it's only a moment, I think, again, until he pulls the trigger. And I think it might come to, like you said, prior with like the way the 49ers, I think the Bears within this division, the way their division is, they got to find a spot within themselves too. If it starts to come away from them, we saw it with Mitch Trubisky too. They were even winning some games with Trubisky, and they thought maybe something was not right. They made the switch to Foles. If something went their gut, and then they kind of got haywire and whatever.
It still didn't work
out. It still didn't work out. Gave up the plays. So right now, I think they've got to try and make this move. That would save face for them, maybe save his job as well, and help this team out because, again, they're on borrowed time to where you even heard rumors now that the Raiders have even asked for a trade back with Khalil Mack. Like they wanted to get rid of Khalil Mack now and unload that contract off of the Bears.
The Raiders called, and this is what happened. I know this story got kind of blown up because of who it is about. Khalil Mack.
Absolutely.
But this happens throughout every offseason. Teams call other teams, and we don't hear anything about it. Teams call other teams just to kind of kick the rock, see what happens with a conversation. Maybe they're interested in a certain player, a certain receiver, certain DN, whatever. And teams will call other teams and say, hey, what are you looking at? Are you at all interested in trading him away? Are you at all interested? What would it take in compensation and what have you? Teams do this every single season. We don't get to hear about it because obviously it's behind closed doors. And the other thing, too, that I wanted to mention is Jim was saying is prior with the 49ers, it's the same kind of situation as the Bears. They have a luxury right now because they both have veteran quarterbacks that if they decided to start their rookie quarterbacks whenever that is, right away, later on down the line, and they still have those veterans as a backup, they have basically a tutor. Wait, to answer any questions that the rookie quarterback Fields or Lance has, to help them along in the season. What did you see on the sidelines that I didn't see? You know what I mean? Did the defense do this? Did they do that? What can I do? What can make me better in this situation? So they both have veteran quarterbacks that can help this rookie, whoever it is, become better as they play in the regular season games.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, and then now let's move on to the final rookie that we've been talking about here. And the final one, and that's Mac Jones. We brought up his name a few times when we were talking about the 49ers. Joe and I had saw him being drafted by the Patriots when they were in their original spot, which I think maybe he was, again, the guy they were going to target anyways. And the fact that they were able to trade back and sit there and still get their guy, I think that fit their system perfectly, I think is outright just amazing in a Patriot way, kind of. It just happens that way for the Patriots.
I mean, they didn't even have to move. They just sat there in their original spot, and they ended up getting a quarterback that not only fitted their offensive system better, but also he's kind of like, he's very, and don't kind of dive into this too much, but my comment is going to be something about Tom Brady. I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady. I'm not saying that he's going to be Tom Brady or anything like Tom Brady. What I'm saying is that he has similar attributes that Tom had when he came out of college. So he's a fast processor of plays. He diagnoses defenses very well. He's very accurate. And the funny part is, if you looked at his body type when he came out of college and the photo that he took, he looks kind of similar to Tom Brady's body type, which was kind of like a running joke before the draft hit. And he's accurate. He's more mobile than he looks. So unlike Tom Brady, where you looked at him, you're like, there's no way he can run, and he couldn't. Mac Jones can actually give you something a little extra in the mobility department. So I think it's a perfect fit. And we see this week, the last couple of preseason games that the Patriots have had between Cam and Mac, there's been ups and downs for both. And now it sounds like, coming out of their practices or team practices just recently this week, that Mac Jones kind of lit it up in practice to the point where he's starting to be really noticed on all kinds of levels of, maybe he's the guy. Maybe this is going to be the decision for them. Bill Belichick is finding it harder and harder to defend Cam over Mac as the season gets closer. And I think after another preseason game where we might not see Cam at all, maybe we will, because they're still trying to decipher things. But I think it's trending towards what we thought all along right here at Football on the Know. We thought that Mac Jones would win this job head-to-head against Cam because he's a better all-around quarterback, and you're seeing that in preseason games, in practices.
Absolutely. And you hear the narrative as it comes out of, because again, the Patriots, they try to stay quiet about everything. You keep it what's inside and here and there. And I remembered even, say, last season when they still had, Brian Hoyer and Stidham and Cam Newton still too. You heard him, Belichick, talk about all three of these guys and say, "Oh yeah, well they're working this,
it's pretty
blah,
even,
blah, this and this, and but we're gonna stick with Cam. Like he's really brings a lot to the team, and this and Stidham's, it's different now the way he's talking with it's not so much defined to where it's even when reporters are interviewing Cam Newton, he's not even saying, "Oh yeah, Bill has said I'm the starter here and there." He just goes with the ego and saying, "Oh, you guys know who it is. You
already know.
I don't need to say the name. I don't need to say the name. You know who it is. And it's like, do you really know who it is? Because it sounds like you're kind of scared a little bit. And he probably should be, again, because you bring in this guy. Again, solid team under the Nick Saban coaching tree here. Again, Belichick, same type of deal. Nick Saban, him and I, they're like best friends, same coaching tree. And again, showing greatness in the practices, but then also looking pretty good in the games as well. And it's kind of fit their original system that they were working with Tom Brady. It seemed like it's a perfect puzzle piece that fits right in that puzzle that's already there. The thing is about the Patriots is they always kind of see the team that they're facing and game plan to that particular team
Oh, yeah.
week to week. So, I
Very
mean, when I
well.
say that there's an offense that's, cookie cutter for them here and there, but that's just basically saying, what are we going to hit them more with? The run this week? Are we going to hit them more with the pass? They're still going to do their scheme and what they do. The thing is, when Cam Newton came in, it seemed like they more kind of adjusted their offense to involve a few more pistol plays and read options that you weren't doing exactly with the Gazelle that's
RPOs.
married to Giselle and Tom Brady. Now you've got a little bit more of that where you got Mac Jones. You can do a little bit of that and still do your dink and dunk and throw a deeper ball to some of these weapons that they have. And that's the thing that they didn't have last year, too, because think of their number one receiver that they had in the slot, Julian Edelman. He was injured most of the season. So now you've got these two tight ends that are great, and some more help, too, at the wide receiver position. That only helps this team get better. So when you see them entering this season moving forward and some of those players that took the year off because of COVID on defense, this could be a different Patriots team, and a lot of people could be very surprised and scared again, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, you look at all the additions that they made via free agency and what they were able to do in the draft, and you look at this team and you think, wow. I mean, they really not only did they upgrade on pass rush for the defense, which was kind of like a lost entity for them the last couple of seasons, but also you look at this offense now. When they once didn't have any real weapons at the wide receiver position and tight ends, they were really desperate to get. They not only picked up one, but also two in Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, which I think are going to pay huge dividends for this offense. Not to mention, they bring in a couple of receivers that have displayed some very good talent on their previous teams in Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne. So I think that not only did those two receivers kind of fit the New England offense, but also they got these tight ends now. Now they can kind of get back to like the glory days when they had Rob Gronkowski and they had Aaron Hernandez back there at tight ends. And also they got some depth at receiver too that a lot of people kind of glaze over. They're like all concentrated on the new additions, but they still got guys that can play ball. So I think all in all that the offense got better, the defense got better, and it's going to help whoever is the quarterback at the end.
All right, Tom Leiter brings up a good question here, Joe. Now, he says, is there a late-round guy that could come out of nowhere like Wilson did the way, when they had RG3 and Andrew Luck that particular season?
I mean, it's always possible. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like it's really hard. Quarterback is the absolute hardest position to gauge via draft. To really kind of nobody really knows half the time. Yes, they're basically taking all educated guesses with any pick that is drafted. So, yeah, we're up here talking about all these like high-profile quarterbacks, Mac Jones and Trey Lance and Justin Fields and all these other guys and Trevor Lawrence and all that. And we all think very highly of them because they were picked in the first round. But when it gets to, as the rounds progress, round by round, the deeper you go, you can find gems. They definitely are there. And some teams hit on them and some teams don't. So, I mean, to really answer your question, it's possible. I mean, it's not probably a definitive answer that you want.
And the fact that we know one right now, I mean, it's tough. You don't really know that until it happens, and it all depends on, like you said, even organization, scheme that they're in, the coaching even as well.
But, I mean, just to touch on it real quick, I mean, there's definitely a couple of guys. I think one of them is out of Stanford, Andrew Davis. I think he's on the Texans. They drafted him with their third-round pick because, listen, they're not sure if they're getting Deshaun Watson back. They're not sure. So they took a stab. They didn't have hardly any picks. And their earliest one was the third round. So they're like, hey, let's just take quarterback. Andrew Davis is there. Why not, right? So that kid out of Stanford, listen, he's got the mental game for it. He's the one biggest problem for him coming out of Stanford is not like he couldn't make the throws, not that he wasn't accurate, not that he doesn't have the mental part of the game. It was more about injuries. The guy's been injured heavily in college. So it's really, that's the biggest question for him. Can he stay healthy in the NFL, which is going to be really hard to do? But if he can do it, he has a potential of maybe down the road becoming that starter for them.
Absolutely, and like you said, I mean, I don't think a lot of people saw Wilson jumping out and forward of everybody. Anyways, it wasn't until Pete Carroll said, I like what you're doing, kid, and now I'm going to name you the starter. And when they were even struggling, and what was it? They had the guy from Green Bay that they had brought in, to be their starter at that particular point, and that was like a type of a thing, of a guy who showed flashes when he was put in, but then never really showed that he was a true starter. Sort of like the way Nick Foles has done around and get passed around, or like a Fitz, Matt Flynn. There you go. Thank you, Tom Leiter. He knows. He's Seahawks fan. Matt Flynn. That's what I mean. He was always good enough to be like, oh, let's throw this guy a contract. He could be the guy, and then you're kind of like, no, he's not that guy. We need to get rid of this guy, and then Russell Wilson stepped up, made a name for himself, and came out of there. And again, Tom Brady, a lot of people liked what he did, even though he didn't have a lot of play time with Michigan and stuff. Still saw some tangibles, but I think he fell into the right coaching situation too, and he's a hard worker too. It's about work ethic. You've seen with first-round picks that go in there, they have the tangibles or the mechanics, but then they're stupid in the NFL. You know what I mean? They don't know how to control their money. They don't know how to do this. They feel like they made it, so they don't work as hard. One thing that Tom Brady always does, like they even showed a clip of it this past couple of weeks where he wasn't even in the game, but he was doing snaps with the backup center or something like that and practicing reps with that. Always working better and even helping other people get better. So that's another tangible, too. It could be any of these guys. It could be even not a surprise like Hall of Famer, if you want to say. Look at Ellinger, too, here with the Colts.
That's exactly what I was just going to say.
I was going to say, because the way the Carson Wentz deal is coming out, if he's not, going to be completely healthy, we've seen that the Colts like him and Easton there. So is he going to end up playing better and stuff like that? That could be a nice little hidden gem that they had there.
I don't think he'll be ready now because he still needs more development. But Sam Ellinger was another guy that I was really – whatever team that needed a quarterback, they could take him a little later because he wasn't as, highly sought after as all these other quarterbacks. But Sam Ellinger out of Texas, listen, I've seen this kid his whole college career. I really like his game. He's a little bit more grittier of a quarterback. He's a little bit more aggressive in the passing game. But all in all, I think that if the right team develops him the right way, like the Colts with Frank Reich, maybe they could open up a whole, talent fest, a brand new, new talent for him because he kind of has struggles once in a while in college. Maybe they can bring out the best in him is basically what I guess I'm trying to say in the NFL. But he's another quarterback to kind of keep an eye on. He was a late pick in the 6th round. Maybe he could develop to be another starting caliber quarterback.
All right, I want to take a minute just to remind you guys, we are sponsored by Johnstone Supply, Heating and Supply here in Troy. And Joe's going to tell you a little bit about our guys here at Johnstone. Joe?
Johnstone, yeah, let's give a shout-out to our boys, Johnstone Supply in Troy, New York. What I will say about these guys is if you're in the area and you need some duct work, you need some heating, some cooling work done, make sure you go and check these guys out, 6th Avenue in Troy, New York. Listen, if you're looking for any kind of upgrade for that matter, make sure you hit up Johnstone Supply. They're in Troy. This month they're offering up Fujitsu ductless splits right now. We are talking about an energy-saving ultra-temp model for your home. Right now they are carrying the new J-Series VRF systems, and these systems will not only be more efficient but also flexible for any setup you have in your home. Plus, in stock, they also have Westinghouse made by Fujitsu for the more basic, cost-efficient option for you. For more information, make sure you give them a call, 518-272-5922. Go ahead and say hi to our boys down in Johnstone. Just go ahead and say hello to Tom, James, or Kevin, and tell them that you heard about Johnstone from us right here at Football on the Know with Godzilla Media.
Yeah, absolutely. Johnstone, definitely check him out. If you guys are from around here, I know Tom Leiter's not, so I mean he's not going to see Johnstone Supply.
That's right.
Maybe they offer something online for you though as well. You know, there's some good guys there too. Right? But anybody that knows heating and cooling, we need it right now, especially over here in New York because we do. It doesn't get super scalding hot here like it might in the desert and stuff, but the humidity is brutal. And if your AC breaks or whatever your duct work isn't working, they're the guys to go check it out, and they'll help you out, definitely.
Yeah, make sure
Fujitsu, I don't know what it is in the J-Series.
I like it.
Sounds impressive. I don't know what it is, but it sounds really impressive.
Make
They're here too, he says. They are here too. There
Nice.
you go, Johnstone Supply. So there you go.
Well, maybe this phone number might not work for you, but 518-272-5922.
Maybe they know these guys over here and said, hey, we heard about from Football to Know all the way in Albany, New York. What can you do for me now? Can you help me out here? Absolutely. So we're all about helping our know-it-alls here. So, Joe, it's been an exciting, again, off-season here. We're ready. The season starts in like 2 weeks. We've got, the last preseason games coming up. But it is crunch time, so we are going to get into our AFC predictions times. It's prediction time for us, and we always love this part of the show, don't we, Joe? So we start to kind of predict the way the division's going to finish.
Yes, sir.
Be a jump ahead of it. Sometimes we get them right, sometimes we're completely wrong, but injuries happen and all that.
And a lot of times we're actually right.
Yeah, we are, really. We jump in front of it. But play along with us. Tom Leiter's out there. He loves to have fun during this whole part, too.
Let's go,
Show us
Tom.
out there in the comments. By the way, guys, on YouTube, we're on Facebook and all that. Drop comments just like Tom Leiter here and Mike out there, too, as well. Drop comments. We'll even ask any questions you want that's off topic, too. We'll help, answer them for you or even have a discussion with that. We don't care.
Yeah, if you're into fantasy, go ahead. Shoot out those questions. We know that fantasy drafts are happening now. They're going to be happening for the next couple of weeks. Maybe you just had a draft that you want to talk about. Maybe, kind of let us know, did I make the right decision here in the first round? Did I make the right decision in the next round? So, or if you have questions about an upcoming draft, go ahead and list them down in the comments. Ask us. We'll help you out. We'll do the best that we can. Not to mention, we are on all big major podcast, radio and listening pleasures for yourself.
Right.
So we have now broadened out. We are now on Spotify, iTunes, you name it. We're probably on it. Make sure if you do listen to podcasts, go ahead and support us there as well.
Yeah, by the way, with that too, we shared a link to our Spotify and our stuff here for the podcast. It brings up a thing where you can donate, be like a sponsor kind of donations if you want to give us donation stuff. That we are not forcing it. We're not asking you to donate here. It brings it right to you first. So if you even box that out, you can go right to our thing. Although we will say, we really appreciate any donations you will make or something. We're not asking you for them, but if you do, we really appreciate it. And I think once we get even some donations, stuff like that, we will do. That way you're like a sponsor type of the show or a supporter.
Right.
We will do a special giveaway just for our supporters out there, too. So if you do support us, we will know. We'll see who did, and we'll do a special giveaway for you guys. So definitely stick tight for that. And Tom Leiter says, I took Chubb with the 8th pick. Is he going to be a workhorse every team needs? I say you can't go wrong with Chubb.
If you get Chubb with the 8th pick, now I don't know, is it a 10-team, 12-team? Regardless, it doesn't matter. If you got the 8th pick and Nick Chubb was right there for you to take, I say you absolutely pounce on that opportunity because despite Kareem being his backup, listen, they both eat. They both are producers of fantasy points. Nick Chubb more because he gets the ball a little bit more. But all in all, I think it's a great pick for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in agreement too. And the funny thing is this year is I got suckered in to I'm doing a fantasy team here with Joe, for our Godzilla Media. So I got forced into this. Just let you know. I'm not as happy about it, but I'm going to do my best. We're going to have
Come on, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. Okay, so
listen,
here we go.
Don't let him fool you. He used to be a pro at fantasy. So don't let him fool you. He's good. He's going to be fine. We're going to have a great time, bro.
All right, let's do it. It's going to be, by the way, Friday night, again, for area people. Again, if you're in the Albany area,
yes,
Albany
sir.
Hooters. We're going to be at Hooters to see our man, Jeff Levac and Gaz out there, and we're going to do our draft that night. So if you stop by Hooters and you see us, come over and say hi. Tom Leiter says he had 10 teams in his one. I got Tyreek Hill with the 2nd pick.
There you go. I mean, that's a good pick, too.
That's a good 1-2 punch right there.
And it does matter based on your fantasy points for your league, too. Where these guys end up finishing up. Like, for my league, the way my point system works, Tyreek Hill was, like, one of the top 3 fantasy guys last season. So if he's anything like that or maybe even better this year, you got yourself a steal.
PPR.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's – yep. I'm the same way. My leagues are the same way, all PPR.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great pick.
Absolutely.
What'd you get in the third round, Tom? I'm curious.
Definitely. Third rounds out there. Let us know. Again, fantasy coming up. Like, he obviously did his draft so far. A lot of people do them earlier. We like to sit back and hang later. That's why this weekend is going to be a crazy weekend, especially for Joe.
Yeah.
You know, I just have to be there Friday night.
Yeah,
but
he
he's
saw
got
that.
Friday nights. And this is the one we're going to be in right here, by the way, is a 14-team league.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
Has anybody ever done that before?
That's going to kill me. Like I can't even fathom this. A 14-team. This is what I get back into. So I get back into it after a while, and I'm in a 14-team league. And then Joe's got a doubleheader on, I think, on Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday.
I got two big
Right
leagues
in a
to
row.
go to.
So, but I think they're at the same place too, though, right? Are they
Yeah,
at the
same
place?
location,
At least
but
he gets to
makes it a
stay
little
there.
easier.
Yeah, you guys better order. Somebody order food.
By the
All right.
time that's all done, who knows what's going to
All
happen?
right, so he says Travaris Jackson, and and he said in the third round.
Travaris Jackson.
Yeah,
Maybe refresh my memory. Who's Travaris
I
Jackson?
remember seeing him on there. I just can't recall even right now, but I know who he's talking about. But I just can't picture it right now. But that is so. I mean, for his third pick,
Yeah.
snaking back around.
Because it's only 10.
Only 10.
It's only
though.
10 teams.
So I mean, that could be. Oh yeah, if you get
Yeah,
the
if you
first
get
pick,
the-
you're screwed. Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
That's what we were talking
Because
about.
you're missing out on all those guys coming all the way out away from you, and then as it snakes back to you, you're gonna miss out on a lot
and
of
that's
talent.
you know, the funny thing about this point system here. Maybe, hopefully, the other guys from Godzilla Media aren't listening to this whole thing, but
Don't
the
say
point
it.
system
Don't
is
say it.
kinda
We haven't
fun.
had the draft.
No,
Don't say it.
yeah, we haven't said, but I'm just saying the point system's kind of hairy in this one too.
You gotta
so
pay
it'd be
attention
very
to the point
interesting. So
system.
pay
This is what we
attention to
tell
all
you.
that. So, and that's what we're doing. So we got a game plan, and we can't wait to get it started. All right, so talking about picks and everything, the QB from Baltimore.
Oh, Lamar.
That's
Lamar
Lamar
Jackson.
Jackson. I was
That's
gonna say,
that's who we meant.
I was like, but I know there's a wide receiver, I think, even that says that's something sort of like a Travaris Jackson though too. That
What,
sounds
Deshaun?
different.
You're not thinking of
can't
Deshaun,
tell.
right?
No, I don't think so. He went in later even rounds, but 1,000
Yeah,
yard
yeah.
rusher here. I think he must have got it messed up when he was thinking of the Travaris Jackson from the Minnesota Vikings. They
Like
wore
years
purple
ago.
jerseys, a
Yeah,
long time
he's
ago.
no longer
It
around.
threw me, that kind of threw me off there too. So okay,
But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson, like, listen, he's the ultimate dual threat quarterback for
so
fantasy.
that's nice. So if you got Nick Chubb, him, and Tyreek Hill, that's a nice trio right now. to
I mean,
start.
well, I don't know, Tom. I mean, I don't like to pick quarterbacks that early. So I mean, I'm a little against
hear you
taking
there.
guys like that because I really believe that you can get kind of better value. You know what I mean? You know, if you take a running back or receiver even into the third round, especially in a 10-team league, you definitely can get a quarterback that's going to be capable enough to help you out week to week a little bit later on.
Yeah, he says Lamar there.
But
my
no,
bad.
but I'm
Yeah,
not.
you know.
But obviously, like in your league, like you understand, like people picking in your league, especially if you've been in there long enough, you start to gain some knowledge on how people think. And maybe somebody was going to be hot for Lamar, and you wanted to make sure that you had him because that's one of the guys you targeted.
Right, that's the thing too. You set up guys that you target, and then you go after them in that draft. Plus, it all depends on because if somebody drops something and starts making a run, you see a run on things. So then
Yeah.
sometimes it forces you into grabbing up
Right.
and snatching up some guys.
That's another little bit of advice: do not fall into the runs.
Don't throw
in
into
draft.
Yeah, stick to your game.
Stick
plan.
to your game plan. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So that could change everything there. I mean, because we had talked about it too. I mean, if you blow up on running backs, wide receivers, whatever,
Yeah,
and then you could potentially still get a quarterback that's decent out there, still sitting back that a lot of people don't think about, you know, in some of these situations. You know,
Right,
Ryan
right.
Tannehill could even be possibly one of them, you know. So who knows? But definitely share more about your drafts, everybody out there. Absolutely let us know in the next couple of weeks. Post them on our show too. Why not? But anyways, we're going to get to our picks for the AFC. We're going to start off with the AFC East.
Yes, sir.
Starting with Joe's picks. Joe, here's your picks.
There we
Let's talk
go.
about it. Explain it here.
All right, real
What do we
quick.
got?
Jets, I have them picking, or I have them finishing last in their division. Yes, they made a lot of improvements across the board, offense and defense. However, there's this thing where when you add a lot of players, sometimes it doesn't kind of gel together very well. There's some chemistry issues along throughout the season, and especially having a rookie quarterback with all these new, all these new, additions. I feel like the Jets they're gonna have some highs, they're gonna have some lows. They're definitely gonna he's definitely gonna be better than last season because now that they filled a lot of those holes across the board. but I still feel like they're going to have up and downs with that rookie quarterback, with a lot of new pieces involved, so they're going to end up finishing last. After that, I have the Miami Dolphins finishing third in this division. Listen, here's the funny thing is like Patriots and Dolphins, I was kind of conflicted who's going to end up second and third because there's a lot of variables. I think the Dolphins are definitely better. Tua Tagovailoa is going to be a better quarterback this year. He's healthy and ready to go this year. It's really going to be predicated on how well he plays this season with all his newfound talented receivers. So definitely upgraded a lot of different positions. I feel like the Dolphins are definitely going to be competitive in this division, and they could very well fight for this second spot. But in the end, I still think that the Patriots have done more in terms of additions, where Dolphins finished third. Patriots are going to go second for me because despite if they start Cam or if they start Mac Jones, I feel like they've not only have increased their roster tenfold in terms of talent, but they filled a lot of holes that have been missing for a couple of years now. And because of that, we already know how great their defense is year to year because of Bill Belichick, because of what he's capable of doing week to week, but also they made them even more dangerous with their pass rush, with Matt Judon being added to this team. That alone is going to really help this squad. And Dante Hightower coming back from the COVID year. Listen, there's a lot of additions that they made. It looks like they're going to be the real deal on defense. Offensively, like I said, they got their weapons. They got whoever they decide a quarterback. I still think they're going to be successful enough to be in that second running and competing for the division winners. And at the very least, number one overall, I got the Buffalo Bills. Listen, they were tried and true last season. They didn't really lose anybody. Instead, they've gained some more talent in terms of depth on this roster. Defense, we already know they're rock solid. Offense, we've seen what Josh Allen could do last season with Stephon Diggs, with a lot of these younger guys, especially in the backfield with Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. They're going to continue to do what they do. So in the end, until Buffalo gets knocked off, we've seen the Patriots get knocked off last season. Bills took the lead in this division. Until otherwise happens, I got the Bills winning this one.
All right, yeah, there's your picks. And Joe, let's get to mine, and it is going to be exactly the same here. Again, I had the Jets failing here again. I mean, they're going to be, I think, better than what they were last year. So everybody up here in upstate New York even has been asking the question, where are you gauging them? What's a good season for you guys? Is it like Mike Tackett brought up here for the Jacksonville Jaguars, 5? Is it more than 5? You're
right.
Going over and under. I would say over 5 would be a good. We talked about, I think, a good accomplished season for them would be 7 wins. But I'm thinking, 6 is probably good for them. Again, I judge it in there. But again, they're team building right now. So I'm not going to rate them very highly, especially with this division, to where we've seen the Miami Dolphins keep stacking on those picks, keep getting these guys and getting better every year. And then the Buffalo Bills, like you talked about right there, Tom Leiter, right there, they've got depth and a franchise quarterback. That's what you want. You saw it even when they happened to have that draft and they were able to get the defensive players that they wanted and things like that, build that defense up. And then Josh Allen has been able to right the wrongs that he had that first particular season and mature and eliminate some of the mistakes and the overthrows and get his accuracy down and not just strong arm it everywhere. And have also that wide receiver tandem right there with Stephon Diggs. That's where it really all came together here, and all the pieces of the puzzle came together. So Jets, I have them coming in last. Dolphins and Patriots, this was a tough one. Again, you could flip the coin. It could be either or. Just like with Joe, I see the Dolphins getting better. But again, you take a look at this Patriots team on paper, and then also the way they're performing together.
Right.
Depending on what quarterback goes in, I think if it's Mac Jones, I think that's when they could potentially be here in the second position here for them. And again, Tua, judging how the Dolphins feel about him, how the fans are, does he get better? Does he eliminate some of the mistakes that he had last season? He's there basically by himself with only Jacoby Brissett behind him. So will we see Jacoby Brissett if he does struggle, or potentially gets injured? You know what I mean? Because that's the thing about it too. You had that big injury when he was with Alabama and stuff, and now he's here. Will he have that, particular type of season when he goes in for the whole season? But But although I do like Myles Gaskin here again, where I brought it up in our biggest questions, could he potentially be the dual threat type of running back out there to compete with like a Christian McCaffrey there, on the receiving yards plus running on the ground. I see he's a nice 1-2 punch there. And obviously the Bills, though, the way they have performed last season, up and coming, seems like nothing has really changed with them. It's just now for them, they need to be able to beat those teams in the AFC Championship games like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, and they're still building too as well. So it's like that's the other thing too is you have, the Bills. And here's the other thing too about the Bills is like their backup quarterback is Mitchell Trubisky, everybody. So the Bears' one starter is now their backup. So in case we've seen Josh Allen, because he likes to be more mobile and run the ball, and if he happens to get injured, they don't fall too far down with Trubisky stepping in as a starter as well.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get to the AFC North now. AFC North and Joe's
North.
picks. Here we go. This is what Joe
Start
has
off,
for the
we got-
AFC North.
We got none other than the Texans at the very bottom, and that's because their organization is being ran by Tommy Boy, basically. The owner is like Tommy Boy.
That's what we've heard.
He's kind of like all over the place. He doesn't really know what he's doing. He's like, I don't know what it is. It's like a circus being run over there. I mean, who knows what's going to happen next week with them. They're not really sure if Deshaun Watson is going to come back. There's a lot of, very fluid situations happening there with the lack of talent on the roster. They've traded away a lot of guys, and with the uncertainty at quarterback, it looks like Tyrod Taylor might be the starter potentially, and not a whole lot of weapons. So defensively, they've kind of been dismantled. J.J. Watt said, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? They traded away Benderek McKinney to the Dolphins. So who knows what's going to happen with that franchise. But they're finishing last in my book. Jaguars are going to be next. Yes, they got the very talented, the very gifted Trevor Lawrence coming out of Clemson. Everything's all gravy in Florida. Sun's shining, and they got the kid with the golden locks to throw the football. However, they are another team that's still building, still trying to find their way. They definitely got talent up and down on defense and offense. Can they put it together this year? Maybe they could be better than third. Maybe not. A lot of variable situations there. And then you got Tennessee Titans. Listen, rock solid team that they have. Mike Vrabel has done a great job of not only bringing in players, but also helping establish the run game that was missing with Derrick Henry. Now he's a juggernaut. They also get in the trade. They get Julio freaking Jones. They got Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, two star-studded receivers to be able to go out there and throw the ball to them. Ryan Tannehill did a very good job last season. Now that he's got another special weapon to throw to, all in all is good with their offense. And defensively has been the biggest question for them. Can they establish a pass rush? They haven't been able to do so. They add Bud Dupree. Hopefully that's going to make the difference for them. But their defense down the stretch struggled to stop the pass, to stop the run. Can they make a difference this year? And then last but not least, I also have the Colts. The Colts, listen, they're a team that's not necessarily rebuilding or needs a lot of things. They go out and get Carson Wentz in a trade to bring him home to Frank Reich. They have a very talented back by Jonathan Taylor. With this offense and defense, it hasn't really changed. Defense is a top 10 defense. They are legit to go with this offense. Listen, if Wentz can stay healthy, I know it's a big question, but if he does that, I think the Colts are going to carry themselves very well this season, and they'll end up winners of this division.
All right, again, so here's another take a look at this here. For those of you, again, when I said AFC North, I end up loading the wrong graphic here. So we are talking AFC South here. So if you did hear that, on the podcast, there you go. That's the difference, is because I loaded up the wrong graphic. But there we go. AFC South, Joe has the Colts, then the Titans, and then the Jaguars and the Texans. Let's take a look at mine. Here we go. It's rock and roll. We've got the Texans here in last, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then I swapped here with Joe, and I got the Colts and then the Titans. All right, same thing, my same feelings here about the Texans. They're in full rebuild mode. They are basically the way we saw, for me, an quick analogy is like the way they value Deshaun Watson the way the Seahawks would value Russell Wilson. Like, if they don't have him, they basically aren't squat. And this looks like they might not have him here. So, again, besides that, on paper, they've got a ton of running backs, loaded up in running backs and not so much in wide receiver depth. So, again, not really liking their field. And the Jaguars, again, they're, I think, rebuilding. Can't get any worse than last year. They've got a few different weapons on there now as well. Trevor Lawrence, again, looks like he's going to be the real deal here in the offseason, so we'll see that. But I think there's going to be a bit of growing pains with this team again. So I don't see them just leaping forward in leaps and bounds, taking second or possibly, playing for the division. So that's why I've got them in third. And then the Colts and the Titans, this was kind of like a up and down with me again. Like we've discussed many times, the Titans defense had struggled last year. Hopefully they can look past that, but it only looks better because they have Julio Jones on the other side of A.J. Brown now. So on the offense, that looks really nice. So maybe this offense could be even a little more explosive over the top and still have Derrick Henry running the football too as well. Now that seems really scary to me. So then maybe that alleviates some of the issues here with the defense. And the Colts, basically, I'm just looking at injuries. I like DeForest Buckner. I like what they're doing on defense too as well, on the front. But again, Carson Wentz, is he going to be able to withstand the whole season? I'm not sure, but then are you going to look at Ellinger or Easton, or are they going to make the trade for Nick Foles? We don't know, but that's the only thing that kind of I was questionable about, and that's why I decided to stick with here the Titans, the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Texans here, Joe. So
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too about this division is it could very well change at the top either way. The other thing too is really the only thing that I was thinking is I don't think the Titans did enough on defense to really help their offense, and that's kind of where the change happened for me. Whereas I already know what I'm getting in the Colts defense. I know I'm getting a top 10 defense, and you're right. It is predicated on Carson Wentz if he can stay healthy, because if he doesn't, they don't have any consummate veteran to fall back on. Jacoby Brissett is no longer there. So now it looks like they're going to have to fall back on one of these younger players like a Nick Easton or maybe Sam Ellinger. But that's definitely not a recipe to win games or even push for the playoffs. So hopefully Wentz can stay healthy, and if he does, maybe that's that tips the scale in terms of who's going to win the division.
Absolutely. And when you talk about stability, I'm talking about my friends over here at Mohawk Honda here in Scotia Glenville here, Joe. Right on Freeman's Bridge Road. I work almost down the street, like across the street from these guys. And let me tell you about Mohawk Honda here, Joe.
Tell me about
Right now, there's a shortage in vehicles. Everybody knows out there. So every dealer is on the radio telling you how much they're going to give you for their trade and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Everybody wants your vehicle because there's a shortage right now. But not at Mohawk Honda. Like I said, I drive by this place all the time. They have acres and acres of cars out there. Pre-owns, brand new cars too as well. Hondas, all makes and models there too as well. Go check them out. They're going to do whatever they can to put you in the car that you want, the one that you deserve, not one that they have laying around. They're like, well, this is what we got left over. You like this, don't you? Well, let's take it for a test drive. Even though it's not, you want a standard or we don't have one, well, you're going to like this one. They don't force you into anything. They want you to come down, check it out. You can even go online at MohawkHonda.com, look at the car ahead of time, schedule a test drive. They will come pick you up and bring you there.
Who else is going to do that?
And then with the car and do your test drive there. So that's one thing that they do, because you know what? My friends at Mohawk Honda, they go out of their way to please you, Joe. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to give you the value for your trade-in and also put you in the new car that you want and that you deserve. Mohawk Honda, where they go out of their way to please you.
And they got the inventory to do it. I mean, they got the most...
It's ridiculous.
The
you
see
these other lots, and then I see them, and it's like, whoa, this is like the superstore here.
Yeah, go there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sign on the dotted line. Get yourself a great car, and there are great people down there at Mohawk Honda.
Absolutely, Joe. So let's take a look at now your picks now for the AFC North. Now I'm on it.
Here we go. North
Joe's
time.
picks. Here we go. The king of the North.
That's right. You people might be puking right now because you think, wait, the Steelers are on the bottom? Well, hear me out here. And this is the one thing. This division was very hard for me to decipher who's going to finish first, second, third, or fourth. And this is why I ended up with what I ended up with. Big Ben, listen, we all know that he kind of struggled with the decision to even come back this year. He had to redo his contract to kind of help with the salary cap situation that they had in Pittsburgh. Also, a lot of things that have changed in Pittsburgh, whether it be offense and defense. I'm not buying their corners that they have. They've lost a few corners from Pittsburgh. That's going to weaken that pass defense a little bit more. They definitely have pass rushing specialists. They got a good defensive line, and that linebacking core is really nice. But that secondary, I don't know if they're going to be able to be as stout as they once were. Offensively, that offensive line scares the hell out of me. There's a couple of new faces there that right now are penciled in as starters. I don't know who they are, where they came from. Are they going to be good enough to hold it down for Big Ben? And listen, Big Ben is not the most sturdiest quarterback ever as well. Despite his stature, he has his fair share of injuries late into his career. And what's going to happen if he goes down? That's the end of the season. So with that being said, that's kind of where I'm getting at for the Steelers to end up finishing last. I don't think they're going to be a bad team. I just don't know how good they're going to be this year with all those changes across the board. Cincinnati Bengals, I got them finishing second. Yep, that's second. The Bengals have an improved offensive line. Their once rookie draft pick didn't play last season due to injury. He's coming back to shore up that left tackle spot to give Joe Burrow plenty of time. And what did they do in the draft? They draft his college teammate. They draft Jamar Chase to supplant A.J. Green. Now that he's not there anymore, they fill that hole in with Jamar Chase. Despite his struggles in preseason, maybe he's going to be one of those receivers that kind of gradually get better as the season goes. Tyler Boyd, do not forget about that man. That man is a bad man on the opposite side. Joe Mixon, healthy, coming back this year. That's got to be some incentive for this offense. And defensively, they made a lot of changes. Trey Hendrickson from the Saints, really going to dial down this pass rush, really going to help out. They got better corners. They got some nice safeties. They got everything nice there. So the Bengals, I'm giving them a shot here to get third in this division.
Really nice.
Cleveland Browns, they have been teetering on this division, winning the division, coming in second. Now they are a complete full team. They are ready to compete for this division. I got them finishing just a shade in second, despite their improvements that they made at cornerback, at every facet of their game. Odell Beckham Jr. is returning, healthy yet again. I wonder how that's going to impact Baker Mayfield as a quarterback. Is it going to be a negative impact like we've seen in the past, or will Odell just shut up in the huddle and let Baker Mayfield do his thing? So I got him finishing second. And first, I have the Baltimore Ravens finishing here and winning this division because, one, defense wins. And we've seen the proof in Baltimore. They are solid all the way around. They're going to get after you. They're going to be a nuisance in the pass game, a nuisance in stopping the run and rushing the quarterback. And offensively, listen, we've seen this offense get better season after season with Lamar Jackson. I thought it was going to be like a one-trick pony thing, a lot of runs, a lot of little trick plays, but now it looks like they're evolving slowly. They've added more talent at receiver. Hopefully that means that they're going to pass more. We know they talked about it last season, but all in all, let's just wait to see what they do, because despite what defenses are saying, they're going to pin Lamar Jackson. They got him figured out and everything. Let's just see if they can do that. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, I feel like they're going to end up winning.
All right, Tom Leiter's out there with a question here. Now he says, can Jackson stay healthy running the way he does in Baltimore?
Absolutely, because he's already done it for a couple of seasons, and he doesn't get injured. And the reason why is because not only is he super elusive and hard to get a beat on, like this guy does not stay still long enough for you to even come get an arm tackle on him. Mm-hmm. He makes you completely miss. So, and then when he is in harm's way, so far what I've noticed is that he either will just duck underneath, say, okay, I'm done, enough running, you know what I mean? Or he'll just get out of bounds. So he's smart on his feet, and he has some of the best field vision I've seen anybody on the football field have. He just, I don't know, he's got like eyes in the back of his head. He just knows when danger's coming to get out of harm's way. So far, I don't think nothing's going to end up hindering him as far as injuries go.
Run, bitch! Run!
There you go. Just let him keep doing Lamar. Let Lamar do Lamar things. There you go. All right, so here you go. Now let's take a look at mine. Now mine's a little jumbled up here from what Joe's is. I've got the Bengals still at the bottom here. Again, not exactly sold completely on this team. Again, I think they're in still like a build mode here. I want to see Joe Burrow come back from this injury and see how he plays, because we haven't been able to see him this season yet. And they said he's going to probably be able to go for week 1. And Jamar Chase now, he will settle in now. But
before you get too far ahead,
so far
Joe he's going to play a little bit this last preseason
Yeah, I said
game.
this last preseason. They said he is going to play a little bit, a couple snaps. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. So there's just so much unknown, I think, with this team for me. So I'm going to stay back on them. And then the Steelers, I just stay with them traditionally. Again, I see them taking a step backwards again, like Joe had said. Offensive line, when I'm thinking about it in the draft, I'm watching it. They figure they got to go for it. They're going for it. And then they go and get Najee Harris. And yes, he's pretty good.
He's worth it.
It's worth it. I understand that too. But last time I checked, a running back, again, isn't what's going to get you to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, you got to have that strong offensive line. Protect your aging quarterback that has been getting hit a lot and being injured. And now he's older. He's almost on his way out. He wants it to be his almost last couple of years. I don't think he wants to sit there and keep taking hits, so that's why he's even slimmed down a little bit to maybe help out with some of this, get a little more
and
elusive.
And that's the thing
maybe.
is, I thought with that pick they were going to take Tevin Jenkins at Oklahoma State. I thought it was a shoo-in. I thought, they're going to take their tackle. And they end up taking the running back. I was surprised.
And like you said, they had lost some people on defense too. There's still going to be some guys there. T.J. Watt there still going to get his and stuff. But again, that defense is going to take a step backwards as well. That's why they're dropping down to 3rd. For me, again, Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns, it was down to these two teams, but I see Odell Beckham Jr. coming back with this again, and what Tom Leiter has seen where he goes and grabs Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is just that workhorse. He reminds me not of the way Barry Sanders would run, but the way he carries himself among the game.
Yeah,
he goes there,
definitely.
runs, whatever, makes his play, turns around, gets
Goes back
back
to
to the huddle,
Yep.
does his work, does it. You don't hear him in the social media. You don't see him going crazy, blah, blah, blah. Does what he does, even though there's another running back that's equally as good, behind him and something, Kareem Hunt. Doesn't worry about, I'm getting my touches, he's getting his touches, yada, yada, yada. Just does it, gets the job done under Kevin Stefanski's offense again for another year. But again, getting those other weapons together. And I like what they're doing on defense too as well.
Right.
So that's why I've got them over the top here and taking out the Baltimore Ravens here and taking the division. We have Godzilla Media Zone up here. Gaz is in the house with us tonight. And what does he say here about the Browns? He says the Browns most underrated O-line and head coach in the NFL.
Yes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
yes.
When you think about O-line, yeah, absolutely. And I heard this in the last preseason game when the Giants played the Cleveland Browns, that Joe Judge and Kevin Stefanski, I mean, they were old friends from back in the day.
Yep.
And even to this day, they still he calls Kevin Stefanski and asks him, shoots some stuff by him. Hey, what do you think about this? And blah, blah, and asks for advice. And they talk to each other about it. And he gives each other help. So Kevin Stefanski, again, what he has done with this team after it was left in shambles with the debacle that it was before, been able to, and especially with the growing pains that they had in the offseason and the preseason last year, we were hearing from camp that, Baker Mayfield was missing, just not in sync with the guys. It wasn't getting together.
That wasn't really true either.
But even getting it together and kind of relying on that run game to get them straight and getting it off of the pressure of Baker Mayfield, making those big throws to all those shiny weapons that he has out there. Having a great running game complements the passing game as well. And like I said, the defense is great too. But again, when he brings up here, underrated O-line right there, fixing the issues that they had, once they lost Joe Thomas there. Because that was the question there. Once he retired and things, what was going to happen? And they go in and they fix it. And now they got it done.
You see that all changed as of last season. Last offseason is when it all occurred. They drafted their tackle. They made some movements across the offensive line. They actually had some guys in-house that kind of just stepped up, and they were the answer. So all in all, listen, they've done a phenomenal job of creating a stable offensive line for Baker Mayfield to sit behind and to open up rushing lanes. And then you also, on the other side of it, is you got the head coach. They finally found the right head coach to lead this team, to lead these men, to call the offensive calls that he does. Listen, he's a predominant run type of guy, but we've seen him kind of evolve last season as a play caller. He wasn't just running the ball because he had Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. He was also kind of mixing in play action, mixing in the pass plays, and it kind of like changed the dynamic of this team as of last season. Now, I'm interested to see his relationship that he can develop with an Odell Beckham, because he didn't have him last season. How much of a factor is Odell's ego going to become versus his play on the football field? So that's going to be something to monitor. But nonetheless, definitely a very good team that's going to definitely compete for this division.
Absolutely. So that brings us finally here to the AFC West. And this is Joe's picks right here. Joe, who do you got?
Well, I mean, how could you not have the Chiefs on top? But to start this off, I'll say Denver, I feel, is going to end up last. And a lot of people might not like this pick because there's been so much hype around the Broncos this offseason. They got all the weapons they need on offense. Cortland Sutton returns. Who's going to be the quarterback? Well, it got announced as of today or yesterday that Teddy Bridgewater will be the starter, and who could blame them? We've seen enough from Drew Lock. We've seen what he's capable of, which isn't enough to be a starting quarterback for them. They missed their shot in the draft by drafting him, but now they bring in Teddy Bridgewater. Listen, he's been on other teams. He knows a lot of offenses, and listen, he's established enough chemistry with these new players in Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, who's returning yet again. They got a lot of weapons. Noah Fant at tight end. There's a lot to like with this offense. Teddy Bridgewater wins the deal, wins the starting gig. And then defensively, a lot of people are very high on their defense. Von Miller's back. The whole band is back together. But listen, they kind of have the same defense. Their secondary, I feel like, got a little bit better. But I don't know. Vic Fangio is still there directing this defense. And from all accounts, what we've seen in the past since he's been there, they've been able to stop the run. They can't stop the pass. I think that's going to continue this season. And because of that, because it's very competitive division, I still feel like they're going to finish last. Third, I got the Chargers. Listen, I'm very high on the Chargers and what their possibilities could be. Justin Herbert lit it up in his rookie year when his number was called. They got their weapons in Keenan Allen, and they got Austin Eckler returning, healthy as ever. So look out for him, and especially in fantasy, he could be a nice pickup for you. Not to mention Keenan Allen, but also their defense looks way better than what it did at previous season. Listen, they were missing a hot commodity by the name of Derwin James. He's been out for the last 2 years. Hasn't played real football in 2 seasons. He might have some rust left over. How healthy is he now, and is he going to be the same guy he once was? That we'll have to monitor in the regular season, but again, the one thing that's plagued this team is injuries. They always seem to get injured. So how healthy can this team last? And can Justin Herbert repeat what he once did? That's going to be a big thing. A lot of defenses now have a lot of game film on him, and maybe they might be able to develop some things to kind of screw him up along the way. I feel like that's why they're going to end up finishing third. Raiders, I got it second. Their offense was one of the best offenses, a top 10 offense in the league. That's right, in the league last season. They're going to look to do the same thing this year. They got their star studs. They got some rookie receivers developing. Maybe they take that next big leap. And defense has been their big critical point. How good can their newly revamped defense get? Can they be top 20? I say if they're 20th defense in the league, that's going to lead to 3 or 4 more wins, more than last season, and that's going to bring them to that second in that divisional race with the Chiefs. But I think they still finish second. Chiefs, how could you not pick them to win this division? Listen, they've done it year after year after year, and what you look at their roster, they haven't really lost anything, except they've improved what was once a weakness in their offensive line. Their offensive line is so gifted right now. They trade for Orlando Brown Jr. They have Mecole Hardman as now a starter opposite Tyreek Hill. Good luck, defenses, on stopping both these guys who have tremendous speed. And listen, they're just going to keep getting better. Their defense got better. Their offense got better. Looks like they're going to win the division yet again.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. I'm going to have to agree with you on that one, too, as well. They look like they're on a mission. And again, they fixed their offensive line. That's why I have them here at number 1 as well. I've got a little bit different in the middle here. You can give or take with these guys, but I'm going with the Broncos here to finish last again. Like Joe said, I'm not completely sold on this team. Again, you're hearing, watch out for these guys, watch out for that, but I'm not buying it so much. Again, I've heard about what their defense is and what they could potentially do, but especially competing in this division where you got to play all these teams twice too, it's going to be a tough road to climb. And the fact that they still had questions about quarterback throughout this particular offseason and still talking to try and pull off trades to get Deshaun Watson, or it was Aaron Rodgers, and the fact that your team and your fan base is even just like, well, we still might get Aaron Rodgers, doesn't really tell me that you're confident in your quarterback situation and what you're going to be doing on the field here for these guys. But we did say it was going to be Teddy Bridgewater here. You saw in training camps, him and Jerry Jeudy were getting on the same page. Absolutely. They liked the chemistry together. You knew it. He was practicing more with the first team, and he basically has the more experience too as well. He's not going to kill you on this. I think just what he had last year with the Carolina Panthers, I think there was a few too many turnovers. If he could secure the football a little better here for these guys, that'd be better for them. But again, the competition they're facing with this the type of schedule that they have to, I think they're going to finish last. Now, when it comes to the Raiders and the Chargers, this could go back and forth again. The weakness last year was the Raiders' defense again. But I love their offense and what they've been doing with Jacobs, and now he's got Derek Carr here too, and then their wide receivers. I see them to move a step forward, but it's going to be back and forth, I think, with this team and the Chargers. The Chargers looked really good too. Justin Herbert in his rookie season, lighting it up, really competing too against the Kansas City Chiefs here too. They could have won a bunch of games where they just couldn't do it because the defense had a problem, and they couldn't keep him back into this game to where they had to try and force points and try and get it down there. And he was driving them, and he was making things happen, but it just wasn't enough, and he couldn't do it all himself. So hopefully they can utilize or fix some of that situations here for them, but I see them taking a step forward. And now the Chiefs, again, they are the cream of the crop here. They're going to be until they get knocked off. I know they have an axe to grind, chip on their shoulder, got into that Super Bowl. They were banged up. Really, it was tough for them, a tough situation. Patrick Mahomes trying to do things on his own. I see them trying to make it back to this championship game. Maybe we do see a Tampa Bay Buccaneers KC round two, number two against each other in the Super Bowl. We will see. But again, Patrick Mahomes, though, what he cannot get into, which I saw a little bit in this preseason, is that last game, I think, kind of got on his shoulders, on his back, to where I saw in some of these preseason games here now that he feels like he's got to get out and try and force and make a play happen. Don't get into that situation, because that's killed a lot of quarterbacks. When you get into that boogeyman's on there to where, I'm running out, there's a guy on me, I got to try and get this in there. That's when turnovers happen. Like there was an interception in this past game that they played here. Can't get into that. That'll get you in some bad habits, and that'll be a problem. But it's Patrick Mahomes. I don't think he's going to fall into that situation. I see the Chiefs taking this division. It's going to be a tight one. This is going to be a nice, fun division to watch. It's going to be very competitive. So, again, it could go either way with these, except for the fact I think the Chiefs and the Broncos are still top and then bottom here. So,
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, too, is like some of these divisions, you're starting to notice that how even teams are getting to each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Every
every single offseason, every single draft and all that, every team is like kind of trying to figure out, well, what wasn't our strengths? What can we get better at? And our opponents, what are they doing differently that we can try to counter? Whether it be drafting a certain player to strengthen something that they can do better against them, or something that they can change schematically for the next regular season that they can really attack their rival in the division. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to see that, going through this regular season. Listen, we're doing our early predictions now, which is really kind of too early to do it, but nonetheless, we like to throw it out there, see what happens, and then through the course of the season, we'll take a look back and see, maybe sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong, just to see how close it is. It's kind of fun to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys are out there too, drop your comments too, and what you guys think, with these divisions. What do you think if they're different from what we figure out there? So, always open to hear your input out there. Joe, I know you noticed you're really amped up tonight. I'm really amped up. And you know why? It's because of Raise Energy. And that's what we do. We are sponsored by Raise Energy. And right now we've got a promo code, Raise Them Up. You get 15% off your order here at repsports.com. Go there, place an order, get a 12-pack of whatever flavor you get. The assorted. There's 3 different assorted packs, all different flavors. They're amazing. 0 sugar, 0 everything. And like Joe brought up last time when we were on the show, again, no added all these colorants and all
No
this
dyes.
crazy, no dyes and stuff. That's one thing I never really thought about.
Yeah, I mean,
noticed.
no sugar, no dyes. It's got electrolytes, which is kind of a little bit different thing. Amino acids that your body might need. Listen, this thing can get you through the day. It can also get you through your workout. Like if you forget taking pre-workout, just take one of these and you'll be good to go. And not to mention, the other thing about these is there's no crash. When the energy wears off, you're not drowsy, you're not sleepy, you don't need to take a nap. You're good to go no matter what. Make sure you get yourself some Raise products. Repsports.com. Enter the promo code Raise 'em Up and get 15% off your order. They're also doing some promos right now, so if you go on their website, check out, you can get, like Jim mentioned, the sampler pack and pay like just shipping. You get yourself 4 different kind of assorted cans. And listen, the flavors are off the chain, man. I mean, Galaxy, what flavor is that? I don't know. It just tastes good.
Well, I had a grape bubble gum, and this thing is amazing too. I love it. It's not that grape that makes you puke, like, oh, this is too much grape kind of water.
Satisfying.
It's amazing. So definitely go to repsports.com. Raise them up. Hit that promo code. We've had people order this stuff and not put that promo code in and then regretting it.
Become part of the Raise Rebellion, everybody. Raise Army. Let's go.
Absolutely. That's it for our show tonight. Make sure, you guys, if you haven't checked it out before, look on all the podcasts, wherever there are podcasts. We did a rookie report earlier on about all the rookies and starting and what the battles are happening with them in this upcoming season. So check that out. And also next week we're going to be taking a look at the NFC's predictions here as we get one step closer to this season. And we're super excited. We're going to have more fantasy talk. We're doing our fantasy draft this Friday at Hooters. So if you guys are out and about, stop by Hooters, say hello.
Not to mention, I want to say this real quickly. We're going to give you our results after the draft. We're having a 14-team draft that we're going to go to on Friday night. Next week, we'll let you know who our selections were for the first couple of rounds. And you guys grade us on how well we might have done. That'll be a fun thing to do as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That Friday, too, the NAL trophy is going to be in the house, too, at
That's right.
Hooters again. So
That's right.
I'm going to get close to that trophy,
Let's
and I want to get a
pic
picture
with
with
the
that
trophy.
trophy, too.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about that.
Hey, guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for all the support, for all the original members and the know-it-alls that have been supporting us throughout this. Listen, this is 4 years running. 4 years running we've been doing the show. We love doing it for you guys. Thank you very much for the support. If you are new to the show, if you want to be down with the know-it-alls, you want to get involved. Listen, we're an interactive show / podcast. I wish we could do some questions or something with everyone, but no one can see us right now. But all in all, we're on all major platforms on podcasts. We are on YouTube. We're on Facebook. Go search us up, Football on the Know Show. Subscribe on YouTube. Become a know-it-all. Hit the notification bell for all our latest and greatest updated content. As well, you can head over to Twitter, at FB_know. Check up on all the little articles that we like to post up there. A lot of interesting stuff. Some stuff that you're not accustomed to getting on ESPN or NFL Network or anything like that. But go ahead and check us out. Give us a like, share, follow, do it all.
All right, that's it for us. We will see you guys next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.